Yeah,
I keep my foot.
All right, do we?
Okay, wait, hold it. We're gonna flag you. You'll be ready in a few seconds.
flag not show, still left.
Huh?
Please flag not showing. Little bit more. Mhm.
All that's because I'm a less dog.
And it's less than
I'm gonna blame the dog tonight. Tonight, I'm putting out a fatwa on Miss Leslie's dog.
This is your photo so you can show for the what you've done so far.
Bring me his head. I hope that's not going out. I hope that's not going.
What is dog name?
I don't remember what the dog's name.
Molest dog Spot.
One for you.
Okay.
Look for me, no, that one for you, so kind of one. The me one.
Yes. I remember my composition in school about my dog
Oh,
Spot.
it is on live. Your dog Spot.
That's my dog.
It's on. Oh my God,
We on? We really
we're
on?
on.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Damas y caballeros, buenas noches.
Good night, all, and welcome to another in the Thursday night series of our online tongue meeting with our candidate, Arthur Saldiva.
Well, I'm hoping that everybody is able to hear and see me tonight. I must say that tonight is particularly challenging for my chair lady, and I have to give her all kudos and respect for being the trooper that she is, despite being injured and wounded, carrying through like a true champ. So good night once again.
Buenas noches a todos. Nuestro ayuntamiento en línea con el señor Arturo Saldívar. Buenas noches, don Saldívar.
Buenas noches, señorico.
Este para nuestros amigos que viven alrededor de Belmopan y también en Belmopan. Muy buenas noches.
Buenas noches a todos. De las 6 comunidades de nuestra capital, de Las Flores, Belmopan, Salvapan, San Martín, La Ribera y el capital, la capital, el centro, Belmopan, el centro de nuestro universo.
All right. Tonight we are here with looking at our different current events, and we would like to first of all give an update of what is happening in the La Rivera area.
Yes, well, as you know, we have embarked on a very ambitious project to provide electricity to 35 families in La Rivera who don't have electricity at this time. And certainly last week you have heard me announce to my internet audience that the electrical cables to supply homes had been acquired. Well, we have organized the men in the Rivera community for them to start the excavation of trenches in order for us to be able to lay down those cables to make connections to the homes. We are hoping to complete that work by the end of this week, and we're hoping to be able to at least have a few of those homes fully energized for the upcoming week. So the next time that I'm here, before I do come on, there will be photographs on the Artist Saldiva for Belmopan page showing what has been done in the La Rivera community. Damas y caballeros, estoy aquí explicando que hay este proyecto en La Rivera para poner electricidad para las casas que no hay electricidad en la comunidad de La Rivera, como 35 casas, 35 familias que no hay electricidad en la comunidad de La Rivera. La semana pasada me expliqué que obtener los alambres para hacer este trabajo, y me organizó la gente de allá, los hombres de Rivera, para excavar los drenajes, para poner los cables a casa. Esta próxima semana que viene me voy a poner fotos del proyecto para ustedes a ver qué está pasando allá. Es un proyecto que es necesario, porque nosotros conocimos que hay tanto niños en esta área que necesita quedar acá en Belmopan o en Roaring Creek después de la escuela para hacer sus tareas y esas cosas. Y es una situación bien inconveniente a las familias y bien peligroso también, porque cuando está viniendo allá en La Rivera, el camino no hay luz, el camino es muy malo, hay puro huecos todo el camino, no hay ningún pavimento allá, y por eso estoy haciendo esta cosa, porque es para dar un beneficio de los niños especialmente.
Yes, we understood when we went back there. There are nearly 50 students who travel each day to Roaring Creek. And one of the things that we were looking at was most of these students are under 8 years old.
Yes.
And that is very surprising. I know there is a call to have schools more centralized in a particular location. However, when you have your children 5 years old, 4 years old, and they have to catch a bus and they have to take their lunch, and especially with the heat and everything else, you don't know what happens to their lunch by midday.
Yes.
So it is something that is alarming, and hopefully one day we will see a new light for the La Rivera area.
No pun intended, huh?
Yeah.
No, and this is the key. Belmopan is the capital. The philosophy and the vision behind the development of Belmopan has always been one to ensure that the residents of Belmopan were at the vanguard of development. And in order to be at the vanguard of development, you must have great access to education. Education is the key. It's the key to opening the doors of opportunity and advancement. It's the key to breaking the chain of poverty. And as a result of that, when we are talking about leadership for Belmopan, it has to be leadership that understands that philosophy and that vision, to ensure that we continue to produce the best students we can, to become the best citizens they can be. And it doesn't matter what community of Belmopan this occurs in, because each community affects the other. I heard someone say on a national program recently that what occurs in the periphery of Belmopan does not affect or impact Belmopan Central. There could not have been a more wrong or false statement. We are tied together, sharing the same space. Let me give you a simple example of how things impact each other, whether we are talking about San Martin or La Rivera, or whether we're talking about Central Site, New Site, or Site 7. For quite a long time, we've had the disparity in taxation in Belmopan, where the capital has been taxed heavily. Property taxes are applied across the board to every home in the capital simply on the basis of its location, not on the basis of value. So whether there is $1 million home or a $40,000 home in the capital, you are taxed according to your location. No, in La Rivera or San Martin or Salvapan, there is a much lower tax bracket. So taxes have a universal impact. Now, I will tell you, the economy in Las Flores, Salvapan, and San Martin is flourishing. The local economy. You can see great commercial activity from the restaurants, the bars to some extent. You have carpentry shops. You have tailors and seamstresses. There are many hardworking and industrious people in the periphery, more so now than in the capital. This was not always the case. But persons from the capital go to those establishments and to those professionals who are engaged in industrial pursuits in the periphery to get work done or to get services extended to them. So the communities have a synergy and a symbiotic relationship with each other. It's a complementary relationship in most cases, but when it comes to the taxation situation, there is a disparity, one that has to be addressed in a more meaningful way. And I will suggest a way that it can be made fair. Instead of taxing property simply based on location, taxes should be applied to value. If a home is worth more than $100,000, it should not be taxed to the same extent as a home that is worth only $50,000. Wherever that home may be, this is how we can get some equity in our tax structure. Because at the end of the day, the person who can afford a bigger house can also afford a little bit more taxes. That's the way I see it. Now somebody else may have another idea, and this is the reason why I'm having this forum, so that we can express our ideas to see how we can make Belmopan better. We have been at the forefront of development in Belize. We are the most modern city in Belize, but we have been falling off due to neglect, negligence, and poor leadership. It's time for us to get back to where we once were. Get back to where we were intended to be. Belmopan was made to thrive, not made to suffer.
Okay, we have to say goodnight to a number of our supporters. We have a hello coming from Miss Ione Ordonez. A little hello too from Navchuk. And we have a good night from Shanzar Z. Hi, good night, Otta.
Good night.
You have a cousin, Marlon Samuels, telling you, tell them cuz. However, we have a second comment from Miss Rosie Stain, who says Otta will say anything and everything to convince those fanatics of politics that can't see past his lies. As soon as he is voted in, as soon as he is voted in, they stop caring. We need to stop voting in people like him. And then Shanzarzi said, ask those who are running where certain people live. But a few can't even tell you. So also, some was never seen mingling with people in the central. And come on, I hope we not look for vote in where no piano one next Pino College. It's sad back then the man only see people when election.
Let me address some of the questions and comments that have come so far. And in particular, let me go back to Ms. Steen. Thank you so very much, Ms. Steen, for being a part of the town hall. And questions like yours, I do take to be very important. I do believe that for the most part, over the past few decades, politics and politicians in Belize have really and truly deserved the bad name they have gotten. I believe that we have fallen short of what is necessary to move our country forward. For too long, decisions have been made for political expediency rather than for national responsibility or advancement. And as a result, persons like yourself who love Belize and want to see Belize progress have been somewhat disillusioned. Now, I will tell you this. I have never been elected, ever. I am seeking political office. And I'm seeking political office because I believe I can make a difference, that I can make a change. I believe that my run and this candidacy exemplifies that. Why do I say this? I say this because every obstacle that could have been put in my way has been put in my way. Artificial obstacles. And I have persevered with my campaign committee and my supporters. I've persevered because I believe in Belize, and I believe particularly in Belmopan, the community that produced me. So I will tell you, I am here giving you every opportunity to ask me whatever you want to ask. And you can grill me if it is that you want to find out what I'm about, what I stand for. Ask the question. I'm not going to duck, dodge, run, skip, or jump. I'm going to answer you. Because at the end of the day, I believe that given information, our people will make better choices. This is not a tear-down campaign that I'm on. I'm not seeking to elevate myself by tearing down anybody, including the present era rep, who I will tell you, based on his record, is not doing a good job. On his record. And I will also tell you that I believe quite confidently that I can do a better job. And I'll explain to you why if you give me a chance. Ask your questions. Keep an open mind, because we can see all that is missing in the development of our constituency Belmopan and in the development of our country Belize. Let's give democracy a chance. That's all I ask.
Don Saldívar, la gente de Belmopan también habla inglés, español y maya, la mayoría. La señora Steen está diciendo, o dijo que gente como Arturo va a decir todo lo posible solo para que después de que están en poder, él está en poder, olvide a toda la gente. ¿Qué puede decir a la señora Steen sobre eso, su comentario?
Sí, como estaba explicando en inglés, señor Rico, la cosa que pasa es que nunca me tenía la habilidad y el privilegio a servir en la posición de un diputado elegido, ¿no? Y por eso esta pregunta y este comentario de la señora no es correcto exactamente. Y estoy diciendo que por tantos años estoy luchando para los derechos de la gente, y en este momento, en este tiempo, en esta campaña, estoy mostrando que la cosa más importante es para asegurar que la gente tiene la habilidad a tener una democracia que está funcionando. Yo estoy aquí para asegurar que toda la gente que hay preguntas puede pedir sus preguntas para tener la habilidad a asegurar que yo tengo la calidad que ellos quieren para servir en la constituencia.
Okay. We have another question from Mr. Tyreek Goldstoneberg, I think it is. Said, why did they say you thief Melanie Coy money?
Well, let's be accurate. Nobody said that I stole that money, and I didn't steal anything. I was stupid. Mr. What's his name again? Glastonbury. Tyreek, I was a fool. And I will be the first to admit that. I did not prepare a contract, a signed contract with my former client, Ms. Coy. And as a result, there was nothing for me to enforce in relation to the agreement that we had. The standard fee that lawyers charge for recovering monies is 20%. And that was the agreement that I had with Ms. Coy, that 20% of the monies that was taken from her, the total sum of which was 6.5 million, would have been my fee at the end of that case. Now, on the 12th of June, she gave me a portion of what was mine. On the 19th of June, she wanted me to give her 200,000 out of that portion. When I refused to do that, she went to seek out certain persons, and they came up with this scheme to take to court a claim that I had monies that I shouldn't have had. You see, Bob Marley said it best: propaganda spreading over my name. Say they want to bring another life to shame. But at the end of the day, I am grateful to those in the Belizean community that understands clearly what is at play and was at play with that entire Melanie Coy fiasco. This is the reason why I can hold my head high, Tyreek, and not be undaunted or ashamed, because I know that I did not do anything wrong.
All right.
As a result of that, you must also understand that theft is a crime. I was never charged, arrested or charged, or brought on before any criminal court. So that entire situation was contrived, fabricated, and put forward to be more than what it really was. A client who did not want to pay, and an attorney unscrupulous enough to push it to that level. But then again, you must also assess that attorney and who he is. Welcome. I think Mr. Glastonbury is actually somebody else in disguise. I think you actually invited yourself to our town hall. Thank you for coming.
Carol Espinosa writes, "Good night, Mr. Saldiva. I could imagine every single mother would have a question like this in mind. What are your future plans for single mothers striving to see another day and day for themselves, but also for their children? Power alone is powerful, but the way you use it differentiates all. The right of all is important, but how does single mothers stand in your plan of power?"
Right. My grandmother, Jovita Luck, was a single mother. She had 14 children. They grew up in a 10 by 12 shack at the corner of Cemetery Lane and West Street in Belize City. Life for them could not have been easy. Life for my father and his siblings could not have been easy, especially at a time when you didn't have any of the social safety nets that exist to some extent today. And even what we have today is not really adequate. One of the things that I believe would help single mothers greatly is the realization of something that should have been done a long time ago. That is to make education in Belize free. To alleviate the burden of you having to find monies for textbooks and school fees from primary school to high school at least. So this is something that hopefully I would be able to impress upon my colleagues, because when you consider that $40 million was spent on one building in Belize City, and now they're spending $36 million on a road to nowhere from 8 miles to the airport, just to satisfy a few people who have land in that area, we cannot say that there is not enough money to provide free education for our children, to assist single mothers. Now, I will say this also. A welfare country cannot support a welfare program. Under this present UDP administration, Belize has borrowed much more than it has produced. We have gone away from being a productive country to the extent that we are importing more than 80% of the things we use on a daily basis. This is a recipe for disaster. A country cannot survive like this. It's only a matter of time before the bottom drops out if we do not address the foundation of our economy and ensure that we incentivize production in Belize again. Single mothers will benefit from us investing in a productive sector to ensure that they have opportunities for employment, to put food on the table for themselves and their children. Because, as I said, we have to engender a process of wealth creation in Belize so that we once again can do the things for ourselves that we are now throwing on the shoulders of others. We want to be able to have everybody fulfill their role and contribute to the economy. This is what we were meant to do. George Price used to say on the radio back in the 70s, going up through to independence, "Wake up and work, Belize." This is what I want to have the people of Belmopan understand. It is time for you to wake up and work.
Michael Usher sends his hello, while Paul Wade says, "Arthur, keep talking truth to power, cause I see a fake name busy
understand that Elvin Penner would still be in the House of Representatives if it weren't for what I did. You see, Ms. Steen, the entire immigration would have been swept under the rug if not for some files that a client of mine led me to at the jungle at the 4 miles on the Western Highway, now called the George Price Highway. Those files caused quite a stir, and it was in the revealing of those files that the full extent of the corruption and skullduggery that was taking place at the Immigration Department and Ministry was brought to light. No, I did not get much support in that crusade in bringing forward to the Belizean public the prostitution and bastardization of our patrimony by those we have entrusted with political responsibility. In fact, I was being thrown to the wolves. I must commend a few individuals who stood by me during those times. And in particular, I want to commend and give my acknowledgement to Mr. Winston Smiling, Mr. Silky Stewart, William Silky Stewart, Luke Espat, who at the time when I was to be arrested by the police, went with me to the police station, stood by me and ensured that that would not happen. So you see, Ms. Steen, in that one instance, yes, I did stand up for the Belizean people. Now, in terms of the People's United Party and its fortunes, I must tell you, in 2008, when most people were running away from the party, I stood up. In most cases, I was the only voice. From 2008 to 2012, there was no talk show in Belize that my voice wasn't heard on. Championing the cause of the Belizean people, educating and enlightening people about what the People's United Party stands for, its constitutional position, not the personalities, but the philosophy and the ideology as expressed and lived through the life of George Price. After that, in 2012, after I ran an election in 2012, an election which I lost, I did not run away or hide from my people. I continued to work in that constituency of the Belize Rural North until 2014, when I was removed. And even after I was removed, Ms. Steen, I continued to work for the PUP. I worked for the PUP, representing the party, first at the recount in Stan Creek West, myself being the only attorney standing up, fighting to maintain an 8-vote majority for Honorable Rodwell Ferguson, facing off against Dennis Barrow, Michael Young, Marlon Williams, what the fellow Herbert Panton, and others from the UDP, heavy hitters from the UDP. We came out on top. I think Mr. Ferguson can attest to that. Ms. Alvarine Burgess, who was there, can attest to that. The present Secretary General of the PUP, Linsford Castillo, was there. He can attest to that. Even the chairman of the PUP, Mr. Henry Usher, can attest to that. So, I am no Johnny come lately. I am no bandwagon jumper. I have been consistent. I have been true. And I have been faithful in my quest and never charged for my service at any time. The party never received a bill from me. Never did. in Kaya West, Kaya North. I assisted in the transfer period in knocking off 17 of 19 challenges, voters who were improperly and illegally being sought to be placed on the Kaya North voter roll. I went back during the recent municipal elections to assist again in court challenges. I have worked for the party. So for the past 5 years, Ms. Steen, I have been very active, very, very active in assisting the party.
Don Arturo, bastante gente, bueno, en inglés están escribiendo, pero están diciendo que varias personas han trabajado y están preguntando qué has hecho para el Partido Unido del Pueblo. Sabemos que en Belmopan al momento hay un Partido Unido del Pueblo representante, una persona que es del partido, y hay dos personas que no son del Partido Unido del Pueblo, son del otro lado, otro color. En pocas palabras, ¿qué has hecho para el Partido Unido del Pueblo desde 2014?
Desde 2014, señor Rico, damas y caballeros que está mirando, me ayudé el partido, especialmente después de la elección general, la última elección general, en la constituencia de Stan Creek Oeste, durante el tiempo de un recount. La situación es que nuestro representante, Honorable Rodwell Ferguson, estaba ganando esta elección con 8 votos, más que su oponente del Partido Unido Democrático. Y en este momento estoy el único abogado contra como 5 abogados del UDP. Y después del recount, nosotros poníamos a mantener nuestra ventaja y nos ganamos. Después de recientemente tenía selección especial del comité de casa parlamentario que estaba a examinar la corrupción en el ministro de Inmigración. Esta investigación no estaba a ser posible sin el trabajo que me hacía en esta situación con el ministro Elvin Penner y su situación con Wong Hong Kim. Me hacía mucho, pero no estoy poniendo todas las cosas que no está marcando en un papelito para este día. Mis obras están en el público, todos conocen, y la gente que no conocen estoy explicando, pero hay un montón de gente, demasiado de gente allá que conocen que me hacía para el partido y para el país. ¿Sí? Para mí el país es más importante que todo. El partido es un vehículo de desarrollo del país. ¿Sí? En esta situación el partido es segundo del interés del país y nuestra gente del país. Los miembros del partido somos mi familia. ¿Sí? Y con cualquier familia hay miembros que son buenos, hay miembros que son malos, ¿no?
Y en su opinión, ¿usted no cree que tenemos ese derecho para elegir a nuestro representante en vez de que solo unos pocos gente que nos dicen que esta persona no puede correr? La gente de Belmopan debe tener ese derecho para elegir el candidato o la persona que ellos quieren.
Sí, no me acuerdo. Y eso es la razón que estoy luchando. No estoy luchando por un objetivo personal. Estoy luchando para asegurar que en el futuro, especialmente, la gente va a tener la habilidad sin obstrucción a elegir la persona que quieres. Es muy importante. Nosotros estamos parte de un partido democrático y por eso necesitamos asegurar que la práctica del partido es democrático, especialmente cuando está considerando que nuestro país es un país democrático también. No va a tener la habilidad a decir con un corazón puro que hay una democracia que está funcionando si me podría aceptar una situación que es antidemocrático.
We have to say good night to Mr. Michael Usher. He has been waving and saying hello, and he has a question. He says, what is the status of the Mandemos application?
Okay, Mr. Mike, let me be the first to correct. I did say Mandemos before, but Mandemos is a remedy for public authorities, which the People's United Party is not one. There is the application, there's an application and a filing before the court to determine whether or not the trustees of the People's United Party are following the constitution of the party and maintaining their obligation to members of the party, and in particular this particular member. I will not go very deeply into that application at this time because it is before the court and we believe there will be a hearing very soon. So, as it is not my objective to bring embarrassment to the party, I'm not fighting the party, as is being widely discussed and stated. I am ensuring that the trustees of our party, honestly, without fear or favor, affection or ill will, discharge their constitutional duty to our party. They were elected to their positions to uphold the constitution of our party. And it is my responsibility to ensure that they live up to that obligation. So, I am doing this for you, Mr. Mike, and for every member of the People's United Party who remember what George Cale Price stood for, what George Price stood for. As Mr. Price famously said, no one man is bigger than the party. Because we're a party with a constitution. So it's the constitution that is supreme. And we have to make sure that the authority of the constitution is recognized and obeyed.
Miss Gillett tells you to continue to speak the truth. People hate it when we come and be honest and own up to our mistakes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Shanzar Z says, so true. Then they up, they awake. Trust me, they need people who will come around and check on them. Mr. Castillo writes, every political aspirant runs because he thinks he can win. It is clear that very persons who have hijacked the PUP party have paid or planted persons to try to mar the character of the candidates who they think cannot control. They cannot control. Arthur does not have a brown face. He is willing to run even against two PUP candidates who showed UDP candidates, Let me repeat this. Arthur does not have a brown face. He is willing to run even against two UDP candidates who were allowed to run in order to endorse the Mira candidacy, ensure the Mira candidacy win. Paul Wade said, that's very true, Arthur. You were the voice of the party on the talk when others were silent like a sheep. I mean, on the talk show. Then Chance Darcy said, all of a sudden, the party allowed people behind the scene to tell them who for run, and those few cannot put the party in the most, they must remember it's the people who make the decision. So tell the who to be what tell to tell them to be the big wig for open their eyes and brains and stop be racist. Even one vote is a vote. A better believes.
Well, listen, I'm being bombarded here. I don't know. But at the end of the day, let me say this. We always have to guard against taking things personal. I am not one to do that. Never been a petty person, you see. Growing up in Belmopan and having the experiences that I've had and the great teachers that I've had, from Miss Cervantes at infant school and Miss Young and Miss Correa and Miss Romero, Miss Cab, just to name a few of them. I know there are some that I will leave out. To Miss Coleman at junior school and Miss Swayze and Miss Rita Enriquez, Sister Gregoria, Sister Francine. To Miss Carolise Aguilar, Mrs. Carolise Aguilar at Comprehensive School, Belmopan Comprehensive School. Didn't go there for too long, and I will tell you I didn't go there for too long, but I did go there. And I did have some very special relationships with very good people, very good teachers. Right? Mr. Castillo was my biology teacher. Right? Mr. Price, the principal. And my experience in Belmopan taught me, and has taught me, to maintain an open mind. It's one of the benefits of having so much space and greenery and natural things to interact with. That's why I believe that we call Belmopan the Garden City. And it's a good distinction. It's a beautiful city. We want to maintain and keep it beautiful, but we want it to be productive as well. So we want to take Belmopan to the next level, to have it be able to engender and create the kind of wealth necessary to ensure that each resident have a place. So my friends, I'll tell you this. Belmopan has a bright and wonderful future. One where our residents can once again look forward to having the peace of mind to leave home and go to work, knowing that they will be able to come back and find their homes intact. It has not been that way for the last 13 years under the present era rep, who ironically is also the Minister of National Security. But Belmopan has a bright future to look forward to. One where residents can have enough expendable or disposable income to put gas in the vehicle and take their families on a drive along the countryside to one of those very beautiful little water holes, whether it be the Blue Hole or Caves Branch or some of our little water holes on a hot day, and have a nice family picnic. This was the Belmopan I grew up in. It's the Belmopan I want to bring back again. A Belmopan where our people can enjoy the benefits of living in the capital city. One of the ways we are going to do it is to ensure that we can bring all our leaders to Belmopan and foreign dignitaries to Belmopan to meet with our Prime Minister at his compound here in Belmopan. This is the only capital in the region where the Prime Minister does not live in the capital. That has to change. You see, one of the reasons why for 13 years we've been neglected is because the leader for a country who belongs to be here, who should be residing here, is not. And you know what they say about the eyes of the master? If you want to lead us, you need to be able to say that Belmopan is where you will reside, because Belmopan is the capital. And let's not talk about this old capital, new capital nonsense. There's only one capital, and Belmopan is it. We don't want to talk about no administrative capital, and a commercial capital, and a culture capital. Belmopan is the capital, and must be made to occupy the leading space in commerce, technology, social development, scientific development, economic development. So yes, we already have the administrative aspect down. We need to ensure that we can put together the rest, because Belmopan was made to thrive, not made to be the personal fiefdom of a pseudo quasi demigod who believes that he can reside outside the law. How can it be that we would come to accept in Belmopan a representative who has no respect for law and order while he occupies the seat and ministry that is supposed to uphold law and order? Is it any surprise then that we have police officers behaving like rogues, choking down our citizens, not allowing for due process to take place? You see, the ranks are following the leadership or the bad example of the person who holds the seat as Minister of National Security. It's no surprise, and it's certainly not a shock, that as soon as John Saldivar took over the Ministry of National Security again, our roads, highways, and byways have become landing strips once more for illicit drug planes, with no explanation. I have not heard a press conference yet detailing cargo that has been confiscated or pilot who has been apprehended for those planes that have landed. Hazard to guess why? And we know who all are the political powers in the north. And we know the history of the political powers in the north. That history is colorful and well known on both sides.
Patrick Jason Andrews writes, Johnny knew this convention would have been between me and you, Arthur. We are independent thinkers, so he hurt our party to favor the cowards. Looking forward to join you for our rally on July 1st. Power to the people.
Thank you very much, Patrick, and I welcome your support. As I said, this fight is not over. The people deserve to have their day, and the people deserve to have their say. This is a democracy after all, and I am 100% committed to ensuring that democracy prevails.
Miss Rosie has made a few more comments.
Go right ahead. Let me hear what Miss Rosie has to say.
Wait, I think I have to go back a little bit. He said, Okay, let me see. Said you want to run at a time when you believe you can win. Before you answer that one, she continues, not because you weren't charged mean you weren't guilty, but then again you're a lawyer, and we are talking to a lawyer. Let me see if she
What
has
does
any
that
more
mean?
comment. I'm not sure. My question was more geared to wholehearted service of the people of Belize, not to a political party, standing up for regular Belizean citizens.
I do it all the time, Miss Rosie. I do it all the time. There, you see, without much fanfare, let me tell you, in the courts of Belize, I have represented amicus, persons for various things. From the lady who has been threatened with eviction by a landlord, to the young man who, having been given a chance to go to school, been charged with some offense for which he needed representation but could not afford it. I've done many of these things. I am not out there patting myself on the back or raising up for people to see what has been done. But there are many out there who have benefited from my services without cost, without charge. Many. There will be one this coming Tuesday that I'm going to be doing without charge. And I'm not talking about legal aid from the government of Belize, where they give you to represent murderers. Because I've done some of those too. Not because I have to, because I don't have to. On request of judges, many times I've done these things to assist the system and to ensure that our people who are accused have representation. But I also do it for others who don't have the ability to afford attorneys, as I will be doing on Tuesday. It's not a capital case. But I'm not here to be touting myself as an attorney. You see, the people of Belize gave me the opportunity to practice law by affording me a scholarship. So I do believe I have a responsibility to give back. This was the main reason why I picked up my phone day in, day out, and addressed national issues, not political issues, not to be dragging down this party or this candidate or that personality for the benefit of a political party. I tried my best to impart the knowledge that was given to me for the benefit of the Belizean people, so that our people could understand a little bit more of what's going on in Belize. And I will continue to do this through this forum. With the questions you ask me, I will contribute, because this is one of the ways that I can give back to you and give back to the Belizean people that which was given to me. So, Miss Rosie, my dear, please understand, I do this from my heart, out of love for my people, you being one of them. I do love you.
Okay, Mr. Ata, we have a lot of people, like I told you in the beginning, we have Mayan and Spanish. I want to reach out to the Mayan community.
By all means.
But directly, I'm going to ask, this is how we're going to do it. You will tell me, and I will translate it directly, word to word.
Yes. Well, certainly I want to be able to say that our Belizeans of Mayan descent have been the foundation upon which this country has been built.
So let me say that now in Mayan, in Quechua. Ta kere les kwasquits in, patin tihere na Belize de shestio bankre.
We have benefited immensely from the Mayan culture and civilization in terms of what has been left behind, in terms of the temples. And we can also benefit, we have been benefiting as well from what we've seen in terms of the Mayan culture here in Belmopan and in the southern part of the country.
Na bal chikanat ke, ina bal skatawiru kake tuam. Konke maning ke Mayan temple chikanat se Belmopan, allí na balep con que le.
So I want it to be made abundantly clear that I'm a believer in the multicultural composition of the Belizean nation state.
Cuatin tihere na lees, cuanca que el lugar, cuanca que el tiempo, cuanca que disponible, hukin. Pequenin pa, inanaw, na Belize, mugo kata que Creole, mugo kata que Español, cuanca que limayan quasquitin.
We are all equal in this task of building this nation.
Kahunilo, tento kabano chichabil, aka balquanco se Belize.
So at the end of the day, it is important that we are all afforded the same opportunities to make our contributions to development.
Les quasquitin, quatin tierena, tentorak, kabano aero, de katiba Belize chichabil, sa le shikanabjak, isa to bano kamatyo kabanhon.
I'm also a fervent believer in the advancement of our national identity over any superficial difference.
Na nitawa kilain na kwang chikul, na tento, na Belize, magachimas halan.
We are Belizeans overall. We are Belizeans before we are Creole. We are Belizeans before we are Maya. We are Belizeans before we are Latino or Hispanic. We are Belizeans before we are Chinese. We are Belizeans overall.
Lo Belicen, muko Beliceño kamata se Creole o kama Español, pero Beliceño. That's in my end. La señora López dijo, yo y mi familia apoyamos al abogado, pedimos a Dios que tengan la oportunidad para que pueda
a recibir su apoyo. Es muy importante para asegurar que podía mantener los principios, los valores de la gente, para asegurar que podía hacer un gran ejemplo para toda la gente, especialmente los niños, que tiene la aspiración para continuar este proceso. Cuando estaba un niño de 7 años y me conocí George Price, eso es el punto del empiezo de mi viaje en este carrera de política, ¿no? Y por eso es parte de continuar, asegurar que la memoria de George Price continúe también. Es un gran zapato para llenar y no puedo llenarlo, pero puedo tratar.
Okay. Mr. Patrick Jason Andrews says the last PUP convention had over 2,200 participants. Let's see how many will come out for this convention. The people will show that they are discontented by not coming out to I think it's a bogus convention.
Well, it's certainly going to be anti-democratic if it takes place. It's going to be unconstitutional because this was never what George Price intended. George Price never intended for an entitled or elitist group to select persons who they favor and impose those persons on the people. They like to confuse the term guided democracy, and they like to put that on George Price. Oh, George Price practiced guided democracy. I've heard this nonsense being spouted over and over. It is so untrue. We remember in Belmopan, Santiago Perdomo. I can bring that name. Many people don't remember Santiago Perdomo. But in 1974, San Perdomo was the representative for Kaya South, then Belmopan, which Belmopan was a part of at that time. Now, San took it on himself to do certain things. And in particular, he contravened some of the constitutional principles of the party, along with others. And as a result of that, he was challenged. No, he didn't like being challenged. The young Samuel Waite challenged him, and instead of facing the challenge, San Perdomo opted to jump ship and go to the UDP. So we have some UDP Perdomos now in Belmopan, descendants of San Perdomo. You see? So I'll just give you a little bit of history. But there was no such thing as was guided democracy. If you did not maintain loyalty to the party and its principles, not the party, but the constitution of the party, then you have, on your own volition, contravened and breached your membership and your membership obligations. You cannot expect them to be treated the same as a loyal member. At no point have I ever breached my constitutional obligations. And this is the reason why I'm ensuring that the Constitution works. It must work. If it cannot work for me, it will not work for the ordinary member out there. So I have to stand up. But understand, I'm standing up for democracy. Constitutional democracy, not for myself.
Miss Cristina Garcia, la señora Cristina Garcia, she is bilingual actually. Says, all my family support you, Mr. Ata. Saldívar, PUP all the way. Adelante con el señor Arturo Saldívar, gente hermosa de Belmopan. Apoyemos al abogado, señor Ata Saldívar. Thank you, muchas gracias, señora Cristina Castillo, Garcia.
Gracias, dona Cristina. Y buenas noches a Sammy.
All right, I'm not sure. I have to look back because I see an I do, but I'm not sure what that is related to. I'm
Saying she does
Support.
all right. Shanzar Z says she supports you.
Thank
and
you.
you are, what you said was well said. Miss Judith says she wishes you all the best. You are a dear friend, and that you have a big heart and continue to do a good job.
I heard something on the radio a couple of days ago from a person who I believe was supposed to have been one of those persons who knew the real position of Belize. This person was the military attaché of Belize to Guatemala for quite some time under the present Minister of National Security. So this military attaché to Guatemala, who has claimed to have served and patrolled our borders many years, is not sure, without more information, how to go in relation to this ICJ question. I found it to be astounding. I was somewhat shocked that this person with such great experience and this patriotic fervor, who has served our country, did not have a position yet. But I will say this, after many stutterings and being pressed over and over to give an answer, he eventually said he wants us to go to the ICJ. I will tell you this, if any of the candidates vying for the position of standard bearer for the PUP in Belmopan puts out there that they want to go to the ICJ, they should be disqualified from consideration forthwith, especially if they have a military background. Especially if they have a military background. Because, man, listen, only a paper soldier would surrender sovereignty. Only a paper soldier would do something like that. Really and truly. Go to the ICJ, surrender sovereignty to strangers who you don't even know, and hope that we will come out with our territorial integrity intact? Really? To say that everything has been tried? Really? You have examined all the options that Belize has and made the determination that because we tried negotiation and we tried no diplomatic resolution of the matter, and because those things have failed, all is lost and we have no other option but to surrender sovereignty to the ICJ and have them determine what Belize will look like after a decision is made? Really? No, man. I just want to go a little bit backward in order for us to understand what our present situation is. And I did this, I believe, in the last town hall as well. In 1859, there was no Panama Canal. If you wanted to move commercial goods from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, you went down the Cape of Horn, which is all the way to the tip of Argentina, and you come around, and vice versa. So it was a long, arduous, and dangerous trek, and it made the price of goods very expensive and very long to get from production to market. So at that time, the Guatemalans were very visionary, very, very visionary, ahead of their time. But you got to understand that there's a certain arrogance that comes with being a superpower. And England did not want to accept that by building this road, which is Article 7 of the 1859 treaty, they did not want to accept, you know, if we build this road, we will have to pay Guatemala some money every time we want to put goods through. Yes, it's going to be easier. Yes, it's going to be cheaper. But we're actually going to be building up this economy of a little 30. Guatemala got independent in 1821. I'm not the best at mathematics. So 1821 was when they got independence. And this treaty was in 1859. So we'd say Guatemala was 38 years old. About the same age, I believe, right now. But back then, England would have had to be paying royalties to use that road that it would have been building by virtue of that Article 7 treaty. You see, Guatemala would have the road from the port of San Jose or Jutiapa to Guatemala City. So it was only a road from the Bay of Amatique to Guatemala City that was needed to complete the dry canal, which would have moved goods from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Do you know what that would have done for Belize? There would have been no need to bust through the Isthmus of Panama. There would have been no Panama Canal necessary. All goods, international cargo, would have been passing through Guatemala and Belize. And we would not have a fight in the world. No, you're telling me that ICJ is the answer? Man, wake up. Smell the coffee. Because at the end of the day, there's an economic solution that can solve this thing if only we give it a chance. But the reason why the economic solution is not being put on the table is because those who are leading us want to keep our country down. They want to keep us backward and afraid and fighting for crumbs that fall off the table, and they don't want to give you a slice of the pie that you deserve. It is time for us to flip the script. If we are to go to court, Belize and Guatemala must go to court together as partners not as adversaries, seeking reparations from Britain. That's the case that we need to have. Not a case where Belize and Guatemala are going to resolve a claim. There is no claim. There was a breach of a contract entered into between England and Guatemala, not Belize. We were not even a thought in the English mind in 1859. We have a right to our own self-determination, and we must accept that the English did wrong to the Guatemalans. And we must resolve ourselves to joining the Guatemalans and engaging the fight against Britain at the international court. But it should never be a Belize-Guatemala dispute, because that's not where it began. You know what this reminds me of? You know, sometimes you have these people when we were younger. They pick fights.
Billy bullies?
They pick fights, but they're never the ones who wind up engaging in the battle. They pick the fight and they run away, and somebody's left behind to clean up the mess. It happens a lot. In fact, it happens to some grown people at the clubs sometimes, and it ends up in tragedy sometimes too. But this is what England has done to us. They picked the fight with Guatemala and left us to fight it, knowing full well that we are not capable of making that fight the way that it should be fought. So we have to be smart. George Price internationalized Belize's plight. He brought all our neighbors in with us to ensure that we had a collective commitment from Central America and the Caribbean to our right to self-determination. Under this present UDP government, that has been obliterated. It has gone with the wind. Our international stance has been sacrificed for nothing. Guatemala has more international allies in the region than we do. How can we be comfortable with that? The compromise, the so-called compromise, was renegotiated, and we don't even know the full terms. And we want to go to the ICJ like that? Really? No, man. We cannot jeopardize our economic future, because that's what we're jeopardizing, our economic future and our ability to survive, by taking the Guatemalan claim, this unfounded Guatemalan claim to our territory, to the ICJ. Again, I say, if Guatemala was wronged, it was not wronged by us. They were wronged by the English. And since the English, especially the royal family, is in this conciliatory mood, we realize that now there's only one royal Creole in the world, Miss Meghan Markle. Maybe now it's time for us to be able to go with Guatemala to Buckingham Palace and, you know, make some kind of
Deal with them.
a deal. You see, they have put some color in the castle. Maybe they'll develop a conscience along the way as well.
Ms. Smith and Ms. Navarro likes your paper soldier comment. What Ms. Smith said, if it's not a paper soldier, it's a toy soldier. Ms. Kiros writes, I got expelled from the PUP. LOL, JB as the so-called chairman. Change the subject. Getting bored. Alright? We're saying good night to Mr. Martin Carl, who has joined us.
Good night, Mr. Carl. Welcome.
Another look at Belmopan, and we see especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have a very big congestion in the market area because of market day. What do you see as a solution for especially people who are trying very hard to make a living? We find out too that if it's not Tuesday and Thursday in Belmopan, we don't get the selections of vegetables that we would like to have. How do you see yourself trying to address that plan?
Well, again, Belmopan is a catchment area. We are 50 miles away from all the major towns. 50 miles from Dangriga, 50 miles from Belize City, 50 miles from, well, 37 miles from Orange Walk if we put the road in place to connect Orange Walk with Rowan Creek. We should not be having market days. We need to have an established market. A nice, sizable market. And it has to go with the expansion of Belmopan. Belmopan is more than just an administrative center. It's also a living, breathing, economic engine, if we make it so. And we need to make it so. So we know that in terms of economic activity starts first and foremost with what we need to survive: food. So a steady supply of fresh food should always be a part of the Belmopan landscape. So we need a large market, not only to supply Belmopan, but the greater Belmopan area. We need a stockyard for the accumulation of livestock and the allowance of the downstream development of the industry. Stockyard development is important to any city. Those of us that have been to Chicago would know that the Chicago stockyard was the basis of the growth of the Windy City. The Houston stockyard. We all used to watch these Western movies as children. And I, in particular, I could remember Rawhide with a young Clint Eastwood when he was moving the wagon train and driving cattle. The cattle was going to a stockyard. It's the place where the ranchers would take their livestock so that it could be fattened further and marbleized for slaughter and distribution. At the stockyard, animals were bought by lots, so it's bidded on. And that's how the farmers would get more for what they produce. Presently, what's taking place is that our farmers, especially in our rural areas, are being exploited. Their animals are being bought for cents on the hoof and sold across the border. More of the cattle are being held in Spanish Lookout, where they are prepared for the international market. All of that activity should be coming to Belmopan at a centrally located stockyard in Belmopan. And it has to again be tied in with the expansion of the city. When we start to move the economic engine first on the basis of food, then you get the other spillover effects on the downstream side of the industry. For example, what happens to all of the skins of the cows that are slaughtered? Back in the day, we used to have a shoe factory in Belize. We don't have it anymore because, again, there is no accounting for the skins of the animals that are slaughtered. What happened to the horns? There was a time when you could find birds. We have very good craftsmen and artists who have used cow horns and whatnot to make birds and other things and other souvenirs for tourists. But now we barely have that. All of our souvenirs made of horn says made in Taiwan, but they still have Belize on it. That's ridiculous. How are we going to build an economy like that? But the reason why we have not been able to do it is because we have not put in place the infrastructure for those things to exist. It is time for us to address that. These are some of the things that I want to do. And I want to take this notion away from you, the listeners, right now. When you're speaking to me, you're not just speaking to an attorney at law. Being an attorney is secondary to me, tertiary, in fact, probably like fourth down the line. I'm an economist by training. The United States government paid me to go to school to learn economics and to apply it. And I did very, very, very well. So well that I'm a member of Omicron Delta Epsilon, the honor society in economics. Now John Saldiva went to do economics as well. Ask him if he got any honors to do it.
Okay. Miss Amira Smith says, there is nothing boring about Belize's sovereignty. And Lisa Saldiva Urbina says, good night. Tuning in from NZ, New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Wow.
Welcome.
To support you, my brother.
Thank you, my sister. Love you.
She believes that what Arta is saying, Amira has said is true, that looking at your sovereignty of your country is never boring. All right? So you're going far. You're going far in New Zealand. Good night. We are fast coming into the 9:30 hour, and so we want to do a little quick wrap up of everything that we've done tonight, looking at, yes, how we see the future of Belmopan, its people, remembering that we need to ensure that the people are always first, because when we invest in the people, everything else comes secondary. But more importantly, to say to the people of Belmopan that we are 1,000% sure that Alta Saldiva is a PUP and will always be a PUP. Jump high, low, in between, back, front, any way they want to see it, he is a PUP, and that is what we are fighting for, to show that integrity, the philosophy, and all the things that are PUP. We'll ask Lucas to do a quick wrap up in both language and then go back to you, Mr. Saldiva, for your final comments.
Ya estamos llegando a las 9:30 y queremos decir que Arthur Saldivar, señor Arturo Saldivar, es Partido Unido del Pueblo, es del Partido Unido del Pueblo, no importa, porque ya vimos que sí. Y también el mejorar a la ciudad de Belmopan, ya sabemos qué son sus intenciones y la plataforma que él está
poniendo en los votantes. Así que muchas gracias, señor Arthur, para a sus ideas, y espero que pronto vamos a ver que sí, Arthur Saldiva, vamos a poder trabajar juntos. Taha que reche Huganesh, Tazar Sum Shamanchi Teshkil, y Tiogati Homna Arthur Saldiva, Nanau Arutosh Banahom. PUP, Kamali PUPita.
Thank you. And let me close by saying this. This process that we have embarked on is the continuation of the Belmopan Master Plan. It's nothing new, but it seems new because it has been abandoned for so long. Again, in the Belizean prayer, George Price made it clear, may all our endeavors tend to peace, social justice, liberty, national happiness, the increase of industry, sobriety, and useful knowledge. He laid out the building blocks for economic independence, and the leading community to achieve economic independence is the capital. We are the center of inspiration for the nation. It's time for us to occupy and assert our position. Belmopan was made to thrive. It was made to be the beacon, lighting the way for the rest of the nation to follow. So, when we talk about what is the most glaring problem affecting the Belizean nation, it is unemployment. And the only way we are going to tackle unemployment effectively is by ensuring that we have industries that create wealth. because only through wealth creation can we create opportunities for people to have jobs and for monies to be earned so that services can be granted and the economic wheels begin to turn. You see? So I'm here, your humble servant, offering myself and coming to you unfiltered to answer all the questions you have had to ask. And I'll be back again on Thursday, same place, same time, to continue our great conversation. Thank you so very much. Have a good night. God's peace and my love to you all.